Welcome back to another reading and correcting of A Wasteful Death by me, Kendar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Today we're doing chapter 16. More than once on the way to the bar, Marlot considered turning around and heading home. If anyone other than Trembor had suggested going to a bar, he would have refused outright. He tried a few bars once he decided he was staying in the city instead of going back home. He'd hoped for a place like Haldaher, the bar in his hometown where he'd gone to relax when the day had been rough. But he hadn't found anything like it in the city. The places he tried didn't have the calm atmosphere of Aldaher. They were loud and seedy, and more likely to have fights than people relaxing. After the sixth attempt, he gave up on city bars and decided the best place to relax was in his home. Knowing Trembor frequented bars didn't sit well with the wolf. It was a side of him he hadn't known about, and that worried him. What did he find enjoyable in a place where the noise was so loud you had to scream to be heard? The air so thick with scent of stale alcohol you could barely breathe. Fights kept erupting. Marlot hoped the lion wasn't going to insist they start going to bars regularly. It would strain their relationship. He could continue to follow Trembor's car. He continued to follow Trembor's cars, waiting for the neighborhood to become more and more disrespectful. But it maintained a solid sheen of mid-productivity. The houses were in good condition, if slightly packed. People sitting and walking about were in an even mix of predator and prey, and none of them looked like they lacked for food. They parked right outside the block of houses next to a clean red brick building. The parking area was only a quarter full. Harold exited his car and looked around. This wasn't what he'd expected. He'd never found a bar in such a neighborhood in his short search. Only in seedy only in seedy neighborhoods. Trevor motioned for him to follow, and they walked around the corner. The front of the bar had a large window through which he saw a large room with a bar in the center, tables scattered around the room, and a smattering of customers seated at them. Above the door, a wooden sign swung in the breeze. The watering hole was carved on it, under the name in smaller letter, "No Predation Allowed." The first thing he noticed on entering was the smell, or rather, lack thereof. He could barely detect the alcohol, and there was no scent of blood or vomit. The floor was clean, no one was screaming, and there was no loud music. In fact, the large vid on the wall was muted. Some action vid, judging by the explosion he saw when he glanced at it. This was what Aldaher had felt like, except the customers were more varied here. Three squirrels talked energetically at a table, while a lynx seated at a table next to them discreetly listened in with a smile. A female brown bear served a weasel and rabbit seated together. Another table, a gray wolf and brown coyote were sitting close to one another, whispering and looking at each other with affection. Marlot stared for a moment on realizing they were both male. Trembor! A lion stepped into the room from an office. It's been a while. I was surprised you called earlier. They hugged. Sorry about that. They let go of each other, and Trembor introduced them. Elnard, this is Marlot, my partner. Marlot shook the other lion's hand. Marlot, this is my cousin Elnard, and the bar's owner. It's a pleasure to meet you. Marlot looked around again. This place is nice. This is a nice place. Thanks, Elnard stepped behind the bar. What can I get you? I'll have a heater. The lion nodded and looked at Trembor. Your usual? Yeah. A moment later, Elnard placed a tall glass of alcoholized blood in front of Trembor and a short glass filled with a third of the way with a clear liquid before Marlot. The wolf paid and took a sip, letting the alcohol burn on his tongue before swallowing. A moment later, he felt the warmth in his stomach spread through his body. What happened here? For to his body. Where did you get the name for the bar? Marlot asked. Seems a bit odd. The lion put glasses under the counter. In the history books. Back before we were civilized, watering holes were the only body of water you could drink out of, and since everyone needed water, they became the first no predation zone. Felt appropriate for what I wanted. Wolf nodded. How do you enforce it? I don't really see anyone other than you who could stop a determined predator. It was difficult when I first opened, so I roped in family members to help out. Brothers, sisters, cousins. Put it to Trembor, him. Marlot gave Trembor a questioning look. Lion chuckled. What? He's family. I couldn't very well say no, could I? It didn't take long before everyone got used to it. Now, it's rare that I have to do anything to enforce it. Trembor's smile widened. It does help that the tigress you're courting is a regular here. Marlot's ear perked in surprise. I thought tigers only mated within their species. Elnard chuckled. That's the old attitude. No one pays attention to those old conventions anymore. Now, you love who your heart tells you to love. Trembor gave Marlot a knowing look and raised his glass. I'll drink to that. Marlot felt his ears warm and hoped no one noticed. He downed the rest of his drink to occupy himself. You want another one? Elnard asked, taking the glass away. I'm good, thanks. The lion nodded and moved on to another customer. Marlot let the warmth of the drink calm him, along with the relaxing atmosphere. He would come back at some point, even if it were by himself. He gave his lion a sweet smile, and Trembor returned it. Marlot felt himself blush again. Trembor leaned in close. What do you think? He indicated the wolf and coyote with a nod. The coyote nuzzled the wolf and whispered something, which made the wolf laugh. While doing that, they were holding hands on the table in view of everyone. See, the lion whispered. There's nothing to be afraid of. Marlot turned to tell Marlot that he knew that. And found his lip close to his. Staying in, Marlot told himself. One cares. But he looked away. Sorry. He didn't have enough alcohol in him to overcome the fear he still felt. Fought to keep his tail from curling under the stool. Say how he felt. When he trusted himself to look up, Trembor was back in his seat. It's okay, the lion said, and gave him a warm smile. This time his tail did curl under in shame. He thought about ordering another heater, or two. That would probably be all it needed to dilute this fear. Enough. He'd be able to give into his desire to kiss his lion. He looked for Elnard and was about to raise a hand to get his attention when someone slammed a hand on the table. Marlot and everyone else turned to watch the squirrel lean on the lynx's table. Why don't you repeat that to my face? The feline was obviously as surprised by the outburst, but he quickly regained his composure, only moving his drink away from the squirrel's hand. I said that the equalists have no business trying to break down the system that works perfectly fine. The squirrel leaned in further. The system only works for predators like you, who take advantage of people like us. We ought to band together and wipe you off the face of the planet. The lynx eyed the squirrel. I'd love to see you try it. Equalists are just a bunch of scared prey who want to tear down the system because they're too lazy to keep their productivity up. The feline snarled and stood, extending his claws. Enough! Everyone, even those not involved in the argument, turned to Elnard as he glared at the two. The no predation sign also means I don't allow fighting in here. You two want to go at it, take it outside. The feline snarl turned into a smile, and he leaned back into his chair. Yes, that's a magnificent idea. Why don't we continue this discussion outside? The squirrel looked at the lynx, his eyes growing wide. Maybe he was only now realizing who he'd been arguing with. That's okay, he mumbled, and sat back down, wrapping his shaking hands around his glass. His two companions looked at him with a mix of admiration and worry. After a few moments, things went back to normal. Trembor talked with the bear as she dried glasses, and Elnard carried drinks to his customers. The wolf and coyote went back to making eyes at each other and holding hands, and Marlot looked around, avoiding staring at them. She considered ordering another drink. The door burst open, and a tiger in somewhat disheveled The door burst open, and a tiger in a somewhat disheveled, expensive clothes stormed in. He headed for the bar. "Have you seen Tiff?" he demanded of Elnard. The urgency in the voice made Marlot's ears straighten. The lion leveled his gaze on the tiger. "You're joking, right?" The question perplexed the tiger. "No, why?" Elnard nodded to the screen. A lioness was holding a cannon in her hands that should, by all rights, have toppled her to the ground. She was firing at an armored vehicle rolling toward a tigress in military-style uniform. She was carrying two cubs to safety for all this to the safety of a half-destroyed wall. "Now," the tiger shook his head. "I mean here, today, right now." Elnard's lips twitched and curled at the corner, but he didn't let the smile form. "Calm down, Conrad. What's this about?" Marlot noticed Trembor not even try to hide his grin. Tiger leaned on the counter and took a few breaths. "The studio wants to move the promo shot for our movie to right now, and she's not answering her pad." Elnar nodded and took his pad out of the drawer. He started a call and listened to a moment before disconnecting. "Draz, any idea where Tiff went after her photo shoot with you?" The wolf and the coyote both looked up, and the wolf frowned. "I think she went to her mother's," he replied with a trace of an accent Marlot couldn't place. The wolf then focused back on the coyote. "There you go," Elnar told the tiger. Conrad sat on a stool and held his head. "That's great," despair in his voice, "except I don't have their number." "You don't?" Elnar asked, ears forward in surprise. He looked through the list of names on his pad. "I'd have thought she would have given it to you while you two were together all those years." He put the pad to his ear and raised a hand to stop the tiger from talking. "Aye, Mrs. T," he said with a smile. "Is Tiff there?" He used his free hand to fill a glass with amber alcohol as he listened. "Yes, can I speak with her?" "Thanks." He gave Conrad a satisfied smile and handed the glass to an antelope who was taking off his jacket. "Hi, sweetie. Sorry to disturb you like that. I know you don't turn off your pad without a good reason, but Conrad's urgently needs to talk to you." He handed the pad over. "Tiff, how soon can you bid the studio? They've been trying to reach you for hours. They want to do the shoot it right now." The tiger's ears followed back. I know, but the photographer is leaving tomorrow." He looked at the gray wolf and nodded to him while he listened. "You know they don't work with him. I know it's stupid of them, but they're the ones making their decisions." Checked his watch. "Yeah, I'll be there. Okay, I'll see you." He gave the pad back to Elnar. "Thanks." He sighed in relief. "You want a drink to calm your nerves?" Lion offered. "Can't. I have to go right now. I want to be there when she arrives so we can get this over with as soon as possible." The tiger ran off before Elnard could say anything. Marlot looked from the closing door to the lion behind the bar, then to Trembor, who was laughing. "I'm missing something here, aren't I?" Trembor took a moment to quiet his laughter. "Quite a lot, actually. Surprised no one's made a series about the three of them yet. It would be a hit, I guarantee it." Elnard chuckled. "The quick story is that Elnard has been after Tiff for a very long time. I mean, way before she started appearing in magazines or became a vid star. While he pined after her, she went out with Conrad. No contracts or anything like that, but they seemed to be serious. They were together for a few years, and a while after they broke up, she and my cousin hooked up." Trevor looked at the other lions. "So when are you two signing a contract?" "When the time's right," Elnard answered, taking Trembor's empty glass. Trembor checked his pad for the time. "We should head out," he told Elnard. "We got gym in the morning." The lions shook hands. "Was good to see you again, cousin. Don't wait so long before dropping by again." He shook Marlot's hand. "Same goes for you." "Thanks," the wolf answered. "You don't have to worry about that from me. I'll be back. I like this place." "Glad to hear it." Trevor opened the door for the wolf, and they walked to their cars in silence. There, Marlot leaned against his vehicle. "I'm sorry about inside," he said as Trevor opened the door to his car. "I wanted to, but I just couldn't." Del tucked between his legs as the shame came back. The lion smiled. "It's okay. Like Elnard said, when the time's right." this concludes chapter 16 of A Wasteful Death. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the other books in the series, you can do it. They are available from all major e-retailers. If you want to support me and get access to just about everything I've written, that is on my Patreon. And if you want to listen to me do these live, it's on Twitch every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. The links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.